Ray Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
50 hours from kickoff.
Yes,
let's go. Ravens, Browns. This one has a lot of meaning to it. Welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We're actually going to try to tell you how big this game is in numbers. It's really hard to quantify things like that usually.
Yep.
But this one, they're all big. We say that every single week. But if you have hopes of winning the division, you better find a way to win this football game because if you don't, suddenly you've got to make up 3 games, really 4 if you count the tiebreaker.
They got almost no chance of winning the division.
Almost no
chance.
chance. They would have to basically go 7-0.
Yeah, probably.
In the last 7, and Baltimore would have to go 2-4.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's not. No.
Big ass.
Got to win this game. You want to win the division.
Very, very, very big contest. You can make a strong argument that, and they get bigger as the week goes on, but you can make a strong argument there won't be a bigger game than this unless Week 17 comes down to in or out against the Bengals. Welcome to the show. A lot to get into today. Remember, today's Friday, so we do 90 minutes on YouTube. Then, you know the drill by now, at 12:30, you got to go catch us on Channel 3 in Cleveland. If you're not in the Cleveland market, it's okay, WKYC Plus, or you can just go to the WKYC.com, click the live, watch live button, and you can see us for the last 30 minutes. That show's really gaining traction as we go through the season.
That's right.
It's a habit. It's a Friday pregame show every week of the Browns season at 12:30. Also, Tim Couch is here. We're going to talk to Tim about what he expects from the Ravens. You can make an argument that, and we'll do this during the show, that Lamar Jackson is having one of his better seasons. I don't think it's his best season, but perhaps his most complete season. He's taking care of the football, and that's always been a problem for him. A lot to get to, but first, our first hello of the day to Mikey McNuggets, who is sore from his workout earlier this week with Njoku Strong. So sore you couldn't even finish your basketball last night.
Yeah, I bailed out early. And not only did I bail out early, I left my shoes at the gym. I was in so much pain. Yeah, I know, my boy Jackson picked him up. It's rough. I'm telling y'all, we're going to play the video at the end of the show before we go on to WKYC.
We had a long talk about it yesterday.
It looks very simple. I'm telling y'all, my legs are on absolute fire. Like, immense soreness in a way that I would not have imagined even humanly possible considering what we did. And Tyvis feels the same thing.
Do you normally do wall stands? Because there is no surer way to make sure your legs burn than to do a wall stand regimen.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of what I do. You know, I do leg day twice a week. I squat. We do.
All right.
It wasn't anything out of the ordinary. Nothing should make my legs feel like they do right now.
All right.
And
because
you see the workout. It was fun.
Wall stands will do it.
Highly recommended if you want to get a burn because it definitely.
Wow.
Definitely feel it. We're gonna get into a bunch of stuff today, but or at least tomorrow is Veterans Day.
Yeah.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't wish a happy Veterans Day to everyone out there. We asked for viewers to send us pictures of their loved ones, their veterans, and we got a bunch of submissions. So, Steve, if you want to punch it up, we got a little Veterans Day memorial montage for you guys. And Jay, you know this better than I do.
Yeah, obviously, you know, this is a day that we set aside every year to just give thanks to all those that have served. And we're doing a piece later today on Channel 3. It's all about. It's called the Veterans Honors Flight Club, and what they do is they send, and I think this is so cool. And we talked to a veteran that has experienced this. They send these veterans to Washington D.C. so they can see the memorials and the monuments that have been built in their honor. It's the Honor Flight Club, and it is such a cool thing. Because in many cases, those that have served have never had the opportunity to get to D.C. to look at these memorials and these monuments. And the veteran that we spoke with said standing in front of the Vietnam Memorial was one of the more emotional things he'd ever experienced. Imagine that, if you hadn't been there, and you finally get to see it, the friends that you lost in battle. The fact that when they came home originally, they didn't get a hero's welcome. from Vietnam. That was a very unpopular war in this country, but this is a day that we set aside to say thanks, and we certainly, from the bottom of our heart here at UCSS, we love all veterans, and take this day and enjoy it, or actually on Monday, because it is yours. Is it tomorrow or is it Monday, the official day? We got to look at that.
I think Monday's a federal holiday, but
I think Monday's the observance day.
Tomorrow is the actual Veterans Day.
Yeah. So, you know what?
Was that your dad at the end there,
weekend.
Earl?
That was Earl's dad at the end, yeah.
Earl, you want to say something quick?
Yeah, so I was telling the guys before the show started, for my dad, it was two things he really took serious. It was the time that he served this country, and it was the 2 million miles that he drove on that 18-wheeler. And outside of his birthday, me and my brother used to rush to be the first to tell my dad Happy Veterans Day.
Wow.
And so when he passed away, I made sure that I merged like anything I could with him serving the military and anything I could with him driving them trucks together, and it turned out to be real beautiful. So Happy Veterans Day, Pops. Love you.
Absolutely.
And once again, I want to repeat that our politicians have continued to let our veterans down. They are not taken care of well enough. They go and fight for the freedoms we all have and take for granted, and our politicians have often failed to do right by them. It's a continuing problem in this country, and it's despicable.
It is. There's a lot of them that are in great need, and that shouldn't be, because they've, in many cases, gave the best years of their lives to fight for our country and defend our freedom and freedom around the globe. All right, busy show, as we mentioned. I think before we dive in, you've got a read. You want to do a read? And then we'll dive into to just how big this football game is.
Yeah, and we start every show the same way, and it's because FanDuel is our favorite sportsbook in the world. It's the #1 sportsbook in the world, and if we're not using FanDuel, my question to you is, what are you doing? FanDuel is the only sportsbook you should be using because it's America's #1 sportsbook, and right now, brand new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time than right now to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use with a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, and an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And as always, we show you a winning ticket. And today's winning ticket won a lot of money. It came from Mary Kay Cabbage, who's now submitted a couple of winning tickets. You can't see, but she turned $10 into $487 on a $10 bonus bet. Chris Middleton over 2.5 threes, Brooke Lopez over 3 threes, Quentin Grimes and Josh Hart over their respective props, $10 into $487.24. So if you want to win a lot of money, just like Mary Kay Cabbage did, then you better be using FanDuel.
All right, there you go. And by the way, I think it's safe to say that account is not affiliated with the Hall of Fame.
No,
Mary Kay
it is not.
It's a funny parody account, though. But
and they've won 2 bets that at least we've seen for a lot of money.
And
so
we know that there are going to be a lot of folks watching this show that win tickets either in college football over the weekend or the NFL. And if you do, send us your winning ticket. What's the easiest way for them to get it to you?
Tweet it at us. Please tweet. Yeah, tweet it at us.
Tweet your winning ticket to us at UCSS. And we'd love to share your winnings and your excitement with all of our viewers in our audience. All right, we talked about it briefly. I try to quantify this, guys. You could say must win or close to must win. What is Sunday when the Browns go to the Ravens for you guys?
It's weird. It's a little bit of a conundrum because we've had very few years where you look at it and say, listen, this is a must win, or we've even seen ourselves in this type contention. And what I try to do is go to all different platforms throughout the week and find out other different shows and figure out what the temperature is. And it's amazing because the Cleveland Browns fans are, for once, going into this thing saying, we got a good enough team to win this, and people are expecting to win. People are expecting them to play well, and it's. I shouldn't be surprised by that.
Do you think it's the majority of people? Because I don't feel that way.
Majority of Browns fans?
Yeah. I mean, you go outside Browns Nation.
No, but
few give the Browns a chance. Very few.
Outside of the fan base, no. Everyone's betting on the Ravens. However, everyone's like, no, this is a must-win.
So you think it's the majority of the fans that think they're going to go there and win?
And one of the things that they say is, this is what you paid as we do the radio show, and then did the barbershop here on UCSS. One of the things the comments are saying is, this is what we got Deshaun Watson for.
Sure.
This is the game.
right here.
These types of games, because the Baltimore Ravens have their quarterback. The Cincinnati Bengals have their quarterback. This is supposed to be our guy, and we're supposed to be able to compete in games like this. And so I was like, okay, I'll go with hey, let's get it done then. But I was a little surprised, Bull, that the fan base is fired up about this one.
I do agree that a large percentage of the fan base that have interacted with me in social media, who knows how accurate that is of the overall fan base, is very confident going into this game. Wow. Listen, there's reason to have some confidence. But there's also a reason why the Ravens are nearly a touchdown favorite in this game. Sure. Because the Ravens have played better overall. They have a better quarterback.
They're the class of the AFC.
And right now they've played better than anybody, not to mention something that I think gets overrated, but still, the Ravens have had the Browns number. Something we've talked about with the Bengals and Browns the opposite way.
Right.
But the Ravens have had their number, and they're at home. Now, I do kind of throw away the first meeting to some degree because that was DTR. It was his first game. It was unexpected he was going to play. I think everybody was kind of out of sorts. Then again, if the Browns get their ass kicked in this game, I'll be back. Well, maybe that game did mean more than I thought it meant. Listen, I think the Browns could certainly win this game. I think they're going into this game very confident as a team. I'll admit now I did pick the Browns to win this game, but I don't feel confident. I was kind of right on the fence on it, and since you can't be on the fence, I went with a close game. The Browns' best chance of winning is with the defense, but this is a huge game. There's no doubt about it, because it feels like these are the games, whenever the Browns have given you hope, that they always lose.
Yeah, they bring you in, they get you excited, and we're talking to different people, for sure. The Browns fans that I've interacted with this week are expecting a loss. Can they win? I think everybody, of course they can win. If they're 5-3, they've got a good football team. This certainly isn't a game that you would look at and say they can't win.
Right.
But the other game this year that I felt they had the slimmest chance of winning, they won with a backup quarterback.
Right.
Yep.
So because of that, you bet your ass they can win.
Yeah.
Now, I think if you really think this thing through, you have to come to the conclusion that this would be a big upset if they come away with the win. Vegas doesn't drop touchdown spreads in NFL games very often. That's a lot. That's a big spread.
I don't agree with that. I mean,
it's not the common. It's both. The lines are typically between 3 and 4 points.
Sure, but
7 points is a big spread.
There's usually 5 games a week that are at least 7-point spreads.
Okay, but there are 16 games. So if that's even a third of the games that are, it's uncommon.
It's a lot. I wouldn't call it uncommon, but it is definitely a lot.
I'd like to know how many games this week is there a touchdown spread or more?
This week, right now.
Biggest underdog of the year. The Giants are a 17-point underdog to the Cowboys.
Yeah. See, we have some really bad teams this year.
Jay, you want the answer real quick? So are you considering 6.5 a full touchdown? So we going?
No, I'd say 7. I'd say a touchdown. But if you want to
call the Browns a 7-point dog or
no? They're 6.5.
Okay,
so
count 6.5 as a touchdown dog.
So the Giants are 17-point underdogs.
Right.
The Broncos are 7 on the dot, and the Raiders are 10-point underdogs to the Dolphins.
So with the Browns,
not the Raiders.
Is that 4?
That's next week's Thursday Night Football. I apologize.
Yeah, that doesn't count this week.
So only 2 games this week.
Okay. I think that's what I would have guessed. 2 or 3. Maybe.
I think it's more than that on average.
But there's 3 games that are 6.5. So we're really splitting hairs here.
Right. Just say 3.
Oh, so it's 5.
Well, I asked Jay to 6.5 count, and Jay said
but if the Browns are 6.5,
counting that. Count the 6.5 as a touchdown.
Then there's 5.
Okay,
that's 5.
To me, that's really not a touchdown. It's not.
But the Browns are 6.5, so they're not a touchdown underdog.
I know, but I say throw them in there. It's still not the rule.
Yeah,
it's not. So I would say that this would be a pretty big upset.
It would be.
And the Raven or the Browns. The difference between the Browns Niners and the Browns Ravens obviously is this one's in Baltimore. And also, these teams are very familiar with each other. And also, Baltimore has had the Browns number.
Yeah.
So I think for the Browns to win, I think most people would say, wow, this is a really nice win being a touchdown underdog. All of that being said, I'll give my pick away, too. I couldn't pick the Browns. I couldn't get that far. I hope they win. I want them to win. But in my mind, I can't erase the first game. Now, yes, DTR played. Mm-hmm. But he didn't play defense. And we didn't have an answer for that Ravens offense. We just didn't. And that's
true.
That's going to be the same. So if you look at it, well, the Ravens are going to score 27 points. My next question is, can the Browns score 28? And I couldn't get there. I just couldn't.
Yeah, I don't think the Ravens are going to score 27 points. I certainly don't think the Browns are going to score.
What did they score first time around? It was 27, wasn't it?
It was 28-3 the first time around. But they had a couple short fields.
I mean, now they're at their right. One of the keys is you better take care of the football. We've talked about how the Browns have been lucky in some games to win, even though they didn't win the turnover margin. Mm-hmm. They don't win this game if they don't win the turnover margin.
No, that's true. But I'm not expecting the Ravens to score that many points because I'm expecting the Browns defense to play a whole lot better than they did in that game. I think everybody was affected by the fact that they had DTR playing and nobody expected it until we talked about this. I think it affected the whole team. And when the offense is terrible, as it has been for much of the season, that wears on the defense.
There's
does. No doubt it factors
in.
Particularly
as the season goes on.
Certainly.
Because
and that's why
the wear and tear factor builds.
Right, and that's why the Browns offense has to be better. It was good in the second half last week. It's got to be good again this week. You can't, be totally inept on offense and win no matter how good your defense is.
Right.
But I'm expecting, and maybe I'm being too optimistic, some progress off of what we saw last week.
Obviously, this opponent's a different weight class.
Arizona. I agree. When I look at the Baltimore Ravens, first and foremost, they're in the same division. You know what Baltimore likes to run. They know what you like to run. Second of all, if you got Jim Schwartz, I like to believe that Jim Schwartz is going to make corrections based on the tape he saw. That's the one good thing that came out of that game. DTR played that game. Now they're going to have to adjust to what you do. They didn't see anything that you were going to be running in offensive-wise as far as what you're going to do with Deshaun Watson. Completely different playbook. They're not going to have those turnovers that they had.
Is it, though? I thought that the reason we had the backup quarterback that we do is so you didn't need a different playbook when Deshaun wasn't there like we did last year.
Well, this new playbook is not even a new playbook. The new playbook is actually the old playbook. DTR went out there and threw the ball 40 times as a rookie with no type of game plan. He knew right before the game. They were like, oh, all right, you're going to play DTR. He said, hey, I didn't know I was playing until 10:30 on Sunday. So my perspective is now the Cleveland Browns should understand who they are. The running game is priority. What we need to do is coming out here to win this football game. And throwing the football 40 times in Baltimore is not going to be a setup for a win.
That's if they throw 40 times, that's an L.
So, especially given the line, we don't know who's playing left tackle, don't know who's playing right tackle. We're going to have to run the football. And my thing is, Jim Schwartz went to that game and went into the last game not knowing what type of game plan Baltimore was going to have.
Yeah.
The great part about it is they got gashed a little bit. The runs, the quarter read options have been gashing them. The inside zone runs have been gashing them. So now they've had an opportunity to look at that over a number of weeks. And now you get Baltimore again. I think they got a couple wrinkles ready for them. And I don't think they're going to get 28 points. And in fact, I think this is going to be a defensive low-scoring game. And it's going to come down to who turns the ball over.
It could be. It should be. When you look at the defenses are the strength of both teams. I think Baltimore's more balanced than the Browns are between strength of offense and defense. One of the things I love to look at, you sent this out yesterday. I saw a couple other projections too. Mm-hmm. In general, the Browns lose this game, their chances of making the playoffs slip to 50%.
I got the exact stat for you, Jay, if you want it.
Well, I saw 3 of them yesterday. I saw one that said it went to 46%. The other one was 49.6, I think.
According to PFF.
Yeah.
Once again, not the end-all be-all.
I didn't see the PFF one, so these would be new numbers.
If they win, the Browns have a 73% chance of making the playoffs.
I saw 70 and 71.
If they lose, 43%.
Yeah, so the gap between – that's why I said at the top of the show it's tough to quantify. When you ask the question, how big a game is this, how do you quantify that? It's very difficult. Yeah. Well, it's a 6.9. You can't there's no ometer for that. Mm-hmm. But I think that is the best metric we have. There are different entities, media arms that do this. They play out the season thousands of times, and they basically say, looking at your schedule that remains and looking where you would be. With a loss, obviously, the Browns would be 5-4. The difference between 5-4 and 6-3
is huge.
But
every time there's an upset,
it's a 23% chance better that you make the playoffs.
Every time there's an upset every week, it changes the numbers.
Yeah, of course. This is not a science by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a projection on what it does for your playoff chances.
I definitely don't think the season is over if the Browns lose this game. I think the division is probably out of reach. But listen, like you said, most people around the country are expecting the Browns to lose. I'm expecting them not, at the very least, to not get blown out.
Right.
But if the Browns lose some hard-fought game that's close, I'm not going to come kill them the next day.
No, not at all. Because again, I think one of the dangers of a fan base getting so excited and thinking that they should win, like rational thought. Again, is it winnable? Yes, but rational thinking. If you were going to put a pile of money behind it, I don't know how you get to the point that you feel safe putting a lot of money behind the Browns winning. It's a game they're supposed to lose. So all that being said, I don't want to hype myself up and think we're coming home 6-3. When in reality, I know that's a real big ask. And look, it doesn't mean that they can't fix what was wrong in this game going forward. I still have faith that they can and will do that.
I look at it like this. This Baltimore Ravens team, this is a team that got beat at home by the Colts.
It did.
And Gardner Minshew. Like, I watch every single week where these games is, you wouldn't think it was going to happen. We lost to the Seahawks, and then they come in and then, the Baltimore Ravens destroy them. This is a league where every single week there's going to be a team that jumps up, wins a game that we didn't think they were going to win because they played out of their mind. Now, the Browns have done that multiple weeks. The Browns have done that not only in the most improbable way. I think that they've done it in a way when you talk about watching this year. I think the biggest game they won was the 49ers, and they had no business winning that game.
No one gave them
P.J. Walker, and you got the 49ers coming in here.
What was the line for that game? Were they a touchdown?
It was probably a touchdown. I don't remember.
For San Francisco?
Yeah, I can't remember.
With the Browns? It ended up at 9.5.
Oh, that's right.
Wow. Yeah, that's the biggest dog.
And they came out
they were undefeated at the time.
And they're undefeated. And then the Browns
I don't think they've won since.
Nope.
Who would have guessed that?
Yeah.
Nobody.
And so, the ebbs and flows of the season, they're so fun to watch because I don't know. There's no answer. I watched the end of that Colts game, the fourth quarter and overtime.
Right.
I can't answer how they beat them. All I know is that Baltimore could not move the ball
Guys,
against
this
them.
is not college football where if, Purdue beats Ohio State, your mind is blown.
Sure.
I'd be shocked if the Giants beat the Cowboys this week as a 17-point underdog.
But
that's
it's
unusual.
a divisional game.
But you still never know.
Right.
And
Arizona beat the Cowboys.
The Browns beating the Ravens would be an upset, sure, but it's not a massive upset. I mean, teams that are touchdown or between 6 and 7 point dogs win all the time. I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm guessing it's 30% at least.
Wow, I would think that would be high.
I'd love, somebody's got it. Somebody's done the research.
Because that's a big spread, a touchdown spread. If they're winning 30% of the time, I would be surprised by that. One thing that I want to point out, too, and I think we touched on this earlier this week, but when the Browns, it seems like when the chips are down and they have to have a win, I always say this, they do just enough to keep us at the table. They don't do anything that makes us get up and walk away from the table. Even the last couple of years when they didn't make the playoffs, it came down to week 15, 16, and 17. Mm-hmm. It's not like they're a team that's going to be dismissed if they lose a couple of games in a row here. They're still going to be in it. They're in the thick of things in the AFC for the wild card. The pretender-contender question was interesting to me. Win, 1,000% contender. 1,000%. Lose, I'm not going to call them a pretender. They're still in the hunt for an AFC wild card. They've just made things very, very difficult on themselves.
It's I wouldn't say frustrating part about it is if you go back and you watch, Deshaun Watson play. If you rewind the clock and you just take a look at the way he plays and how he played back when he was with Houston, you say if that guy's anywhere available, if there's a remnant, if there's a scrap of that type of energy, moxie, talent, these games are completely winnable. Absolutely. If you go back to Houston, you're like, all right, Lamar Jackson versus Deshaun Watson. You'd actually have to drum yourself up and say, how is the Lamar Jackson going to get the plays to beat him? Like, that's crazy. It's almost topsy-turvy. And so it has to be a thing where you look at Deshaun Watson and at some point, like we say with Kevin Stefanski, you have to have a signature win. What's your signature win going to be? Which one of these guys did you beat that you buried? Did you beat Burrow?
Is it San Francisco right now?
No, because P.J. Walker
P.J. Walker won.
Well, he won the game.
I know, but Deshaun,
that was
he's still
Stefanski.
coach. You're
I thought he saw Deshaun Watson.
I'm saying Stefanski
I
had
thought you
his.
said Stefanski.
No,
He's still looking for
Stefanski
his.
had his against the
Watson-
49ers.
Yeah, he doesn't have a signature.
Well,
win.
Watson did
Watson's
beat
is
Burrow
so-
in week 1, but I think we'd hardly look at that as a
Nope.
signature win
He
for
didn't
him.
play well
No.
at all.
Yeah.
No, we're looking for a 3-touchdown, no pick,
No.
300-yard game,
Where
and that's
he wins the
he's
game.
the reason. Right,
Yeah.
he's the reason they
Now,
win.
he did that against Tennessee, but they're a mediocre team.
Right.
We could say that Myles Garrett has had his signature win
Sure.
where he stopped somebody. We could say that Jim Schwartz has had signature wins on this season where his team has not let you get over 50 points, 58 yards or whatever. We talked about Stefanski. These next 2 weeks are signature type performances that Deshaun Watson, he got to have one of them. If it ain't, he got it. One of these next two, you got to have it.
You can't lose both these games.
Because the
Can't.
next week, if you lose this one, it's all about, you got to keep us in contention.
Yeah.
We can't drop to the Steelers.
You slip
at
to
home.
5-5,
No.
and your chances of we say they go down from 73% or so if they win down to 43% or whatever that is. If they lose the next 2 games, you're looking at a 25% chance probably of making the playoffs.
No,
that's a big ask. It's not going to happen.
No, yeah, I mean, they got. I think if they go 1-1 in the next 2, they're fine in terms of making the playoffs.
They're
I still
still in
like
the-
their
in the
chances.
hunt.
They go 0-2, they're probably not making it. They go 2-0, it's in the bag pretty much.
Very
So
good chance.
I mean, the Browns' 2 toughest games left on the schedule is this game and the last week of the year at Cincinnati.
I agree with that.
That's the 2 toughest games.
Yeah.
The next best team you play is Pittsburgh or Jacksonville. Those games are both at home. Houston's a decent team. But that's also, I think, at home. I can't remember if the Houston
They were
game.
at Houston last year, so I can't imagine we would go to Houston 2 years
No,
in
it's
a
at
row.
yeah.
It is at Houston again.
How does that happen?
Yeah,
You go,
Because it's the weird extra game you added with the 17 game where you're either
yeah,
home
but you
or
should
away.
never go to a
That's not it.
non-divisional opponent back-to-back
You're
years.
wrong, Mike. That's not it.
What?
That's not the 17th. The Texans are not the 17th. The added 17th game for the
No, I
Browns.
know they're not, but I'm saying they got an extra home
You
game.
have an unbalanced
yeah,
schedule.
17.
Yeah, but it just seems to me that because we were there last year, like how many times can you think of off the top of your head that the Browns made road trips to the same non-divisional opponent in back-to-back years?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they figure that they do that.
It's
But
definitely
anyway,
weird. Definitely uncommon.
Still, the bottom line is this game and at Cincinnati Week 18 are the 2 toughest games left on their schedule.
Yeah.
So
Everything else is very winnable.
yeah, everything else is very winnable. The Browns will be either a very slight underdog or a favorite in all the rest of their games. And so, this is an opportunity for we often have a lot of fans who complain that the Browns don't get any credit nationally. Well, you don't get a ton of credit for being 5-3.
And
They're
beating
not
Tennessee and Arizona.
exactly. Now, you got some credit for San Francisco, but you got to follow it up. Now, this is the next big game. If the Browns win this game this week, they're going to get more notice nationally for those
bet.
who complain about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big deal because if they win, now you're 6-3. The Ravens are 7-3. You're only a half game back. You think about time.
And because you've split, you're still around.
Right, and I believe the Browns would technically have the tiebreaker, even though they're not tied.
Right.
Because I think the next tiebreaker is division, which they'd be tied, and then after that it's conference
record.
which Browns would have a better conference record if they
Yes.
win this game. So you go from being right there to being almost out of the division. That's how big this game is for just if you want to win. And the Browns haven't won the division in forever.
Right? Be nice.
And it's fun that these 2 games are stacked back to back. Because any questions you have about the Browns, about Deshaun Watson, about the legitimacy
you're
of
gonna see
any
him.
part of this team,
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski, the offensive line, the defense, whatever those questions may be, come not this Monday, but next Monday, we'll have those answers. And if we
I
don't,
think so.
we're in trouble.
Yeah, we are in trouble if we don't have the answers we want. Deshaun Watson was still, in his comments this week, still pretty clear that he's not 100%. And that worries me.
Yeah, I listen. I didn't give Baker a pass. I didn't give Burrow a pass. I'm not giving Watson a pass.
He's not even
You're
on the injury. He's not even on the injury list
That's
this
right.
week.
You're on the field. Let's go. Play well. I don't want to hear any excuses.
Yeah, there is no excuse. If he doesn't play well,
Yeah.
you cannot bring up the shoulder. You can't do it. You
No, I'm
just
not going
can't.
to do that.
Nobody
That's what
can.
happened with Baker. When every game he played well, he played great. Then every bad game, it's his shoulder. Well, why did it hurt last week when he played
Right.
well against this team?
And
I don't
because
wanna hear
he's
it.
not on the list,
Yeah, I don't wanna hear it.
it's just not an excuse anymore. Go ahead, Mike.
It's time to bring in our quarterback, Tim Couch. And today's interview with Tim Couch is brought to us by Jace Medical. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones. during the unexpected. That's why Jace Medical offers the Jace Case. The Jace Case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use, giving you peace of mind so that you're not just hoping that you have access to medication in an emergency. Jace Medical makes sure you have the medication in hand, and it's simple. They handle everything from the online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care, so you don't get caught unprepared. Get $20 off these life-saving antibiotics today from Jace Medical by using promo code LOCKEDON at checkout at jacemedical.com. That is jacemedical.com. Let's welcome in our quarterback, our QB1, the number 1 pick in the UCSS fantasy draft, just like the NFL draft in 1999. It is the one and only Tim Couch. What's up, Tim?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Good. We'll be doing a lot better Sunday at 4 o'clock with a victory. One of the things that we sort of found a flashpoint on today's show is whether or not most Browns fans believe that this is a game that is going to end with a victory. I said I think it's winnable. I also said that I'm picking the Ravens. They're a touchdown favorite for a reason. Where do you fall on this? If they won, where would you be on your surprise meter? And are you expecting a victory?
I think it's going to be a tough game, obviously, going to Baltimore. And Baltimore is probably the hottest team in the NFL right now, playing great on both sides of the football. To me, I really trust the Browns defense. I do not trust the Browns offense fully yet. So I don't know if they can go in there and keep up with Lamar Jackson right now. So for that reason, I would have to take Baltimore. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Browns surprise me. I hope Deshaun Watson comes out and plays his best game ever as a Brown. I hope they win the game. But right now, from what I've seen, it's just been too consistent on the offensive side of the ball. I think the defense will play better than they did in the first matchup against Lamar. I think he hurt him in a lot of ways with his legs, getting outside of the pocket, extending plays. I think they're going to have to be better, and they will be better on that side of the ball. I just don't know if offensively we can keep up with and put enough points on the board on the road in a hostile environment like Baltimore to go in there and get a victory.
Tim, what did you think of how Deshaun Watson played last Sunday?
I thought it was kind of a mixed bag, really. We saw a few throws, a couple to Amari on a couple of deep balls where it looked pretty good. He threw some really nice balls. And then at other times, just some questionable decisions, a little bit inaccurate at times. But I thought it's kind of what you expect after a layoff, right? I think it's just, a little bit of a mixed bag, kind of up and down. I'm really glad, most importantly, that he got that game under his belt before we go in and play these next 2 games against Baltimore and Pittsburgh. So I think that's very important. I think it would be a really tough ask to have Deshaun, miss those, few weeks that he missed and come back and say your first test is here against Baltimore on the road. I think so. I'm really glad he got that opportunity to play last week, and looks like he came out of that game relatively healthy and did some good things. So hopefully he can go out and build on that against a very tough Baltimore defense.
What's the key in this game for you?
I think the key for me would be to, obviously eliminate turnovers. I think in the first game, obviously we had a rookie quarterback in there making his first start ever. So, he hurt the Browns defense quite a few times on turnovers and giving the Ravens a short field to operate on. So for me, it's, going out, sustaining drives, moving the football, taking care of the ball most importantly, and don't put your defense in bad situations. I think if we can keep our defense rested and ready to go in there and defend Lamar and that great Ravens offense, I think that's going to be the key. So, it's really on Deshaun and that offense to take care of the ball, put up as many points as possible, make some explosive plays in the passing game. But I think first and foremost, you got to go in there with the mindset of we're not going to turn the football over offensively.
Tim, I was looking at, before you came on, I was looking at, there was a Monday night game where nobody had y'all winning the game. I think you went into Pittsburgh and y'all blew them out. And it was kind of one of those things where people around the country was like, what the heck? They never beat the Steelers. And they went in there and blew them out. What type of mindset, when you go out and you pull off those type of upsets, during that week of practice, could you tell something was different before you went out there and played? What was the mindset and how does that feel when you're going through that type of game? Because a lot of people don't have the Browns winning this game. They have not played well against the Ravens. And so I'm trying to figure out, does the quarterback see something special during those weeks of preparation?
Yeah, I think it's extra motivation when it's a big game like that, a primetime game like you were talking about we have with the Steelers on the road that night. So the whole league is watching. Everybody's you're the game on that night. So there's a lot of eyes on you. So there's that extra motivation. You're on the road going into a big environment. So you're extra focused, you're locked in during the week, knowing you got to have your preparation dialed in. Just all those factors. I think it's a division game, also. So, for the Browns going into a place like Baltimore, this is kind of that make or break game for them, right? People want to know, is this team for real? Are they really going to be contenders in the AFC North? So, you go on the road and win a game like this, it's going to open up a lot of eyes. And, Deshaun has had his haters, throughout the season, people saying, he's not living up to the contract, this, that, and, whatever they want to say about him. And this is an opportunity for him to go out on a big stage and say, I'm back, I'm feeling good, I'm healthy, I'm playing at the level I expected to be playing at. You go win a game like that, and the league's going to be talking about, the Browns are for real. Everyone knows they have a great defense. The question mark is, can they get it going offensively on a consistent basis? So going into this week, it's certainly a lot of motivation for those guys to go out and win a big divisional game on the road.
Tim, Myles Garrett was on a podcast with Kay Adams, formerly of NFL Network. I don't know if you saw any of this, but she asked him who's the better quarterback, Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson. And I was a little surprised he answered because, look, I mean, obviously he said Joe Burrow. I don't know how there's any real debate there, but the Ravens and Lamar could use that as bulletin board material. Are you surprised? I mean, I love that he answered it, but are you surprised that he did?
Yeah, I am surprised. I haven't heard that actually, but I think usually you get guys kind of given politically correct answer in those situations. They don't want to give bulletin board material, but for Myles to come out and say that, I think it just shows how much respect that he has for a guy like Joe Burrow, because I know Myles respects Lamar Jackson a ton as well. But I truly think when Joe Burrow is healthy, I think it's pretty obvious that he's a top 2 or 3, if not the top guy in the league. I really do. I think there's a debate for him being the best quarterback in the NFL when he's fully healthy. So I'm a big fan of his. I agree with Myles. But Lamar Jackson certainly presents a whole host of issues that Joe Burrow doesn't. When you play a guy like Lamar, you just have to be dialed in, reading your keys on defense. Everyone has to be playing assignment football because you get out of space, you got a position, your eyes are in the wrong place with that Ravens offense, with all the misdirection in the backfield, and Lamar gets outside of your defense. Next thing you know, he's gashing you for 10, 15, 20-yard gains, and then he's throwing the ball so efficiently this year as well. He's completing a very high percentage of his passes, playing lights out. He's playing at an MVP level right now. So it's going to be a tough test for them defensively. But like I said earlier, I think our defense will play much better than they did in the first matchup with Baltimore.
I'm with you guys. I was shocked he answered that.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Yeah, we talk about bulletin board material. I mean, the Ravens could certainly use that.
Yeah, and he backed into it. I mean, it's not like he went there on his own.
No.
But Tim, you're right. Usually guys will give both the compliment and say they're both really good players. Right. He answered the question.
Right now, Myles Garrett is at like a level that most human beings can't reach. Like he's afraid of nothing. He thinks he's the greatest player in the NFL, and he might be. Like he's just on a different level right now. He don't care. He'll say anything right now, I feel like, and I love it because he's got no worries. That's how it feels to me, Tim. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I agree. I think you hit it perfectly. He's playing at a level that, not many people have reached in this league. So, he thinks he's got he's reached a certain status where he can comment on these kind of things, and he's right. I think, Myles Garrett faces both of these guys every year in his division, so he's a great person to ask. Who's tougher to play against? Who's more respected than Myles right now? So I love that he answered the question. Like I said, it's it's pretty rare for in the middle of a season like this, especially with both of those opponents on your schedule, that you're going to pick one or the other in an interview and say one's better than the other. But I love it. I think Myles is entertaining. He's fun to watch. He's fun to listen to, and I'm damn glad he's on our team. That's for sure.
Well, you aren't kidding.
Let me ask you about this. Might be a little three-dimensional chess. Now look, I like this Myles Garrett. I may be reading too much into this, but he's saying, all right, well listen, I'm going to go ahead and take Joe Burrow. And why? Because Joe Burrow sits back there and delivers the ball from the pocket. Look at his arm strength. He throws the football, gets his targets involved.
He's baiting Lamar into interceptions, isn't he?
Hey,
bad.
if you want to be like Joe Burrow, you should probably sit back there in that pocket and deliver,
don't even attempt to run the ball on us, right?
Yeah.
Leave it to G to think of that.
I like that. That's a great
I like it,
conspiracy
Myles.
theory right
I like
there.
it, Myles.
Yeah.
I like it too. I like it a whole lot. Could be fun.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to take the bait.
Hopefully.
Oh,
Yeah,
Tim,
right.
there are certain relationships in sports that bring a game to an extra level. Sometimes it's a DB versus a wide receiver. Very rarely is it a coach against another coach, and even more rarely is it a head coach who's the brother of a former head coach in the NFL and a defensive coordinator. But there is real history between Jim Schwartz and Jim Harbaugh. You guys remember, and I don't know, Mikey, if you can pull that up on tag board, but
I do know what you're talking
they
about.
famously had, I thought they were going to throw hands at one another at the end of a game.
Yep.
It was, one of those deals where Harbaugh let Schwartz have it, and then Schwartz sort of chased him down.
Yeah, I love that. Oh.
Now he gets to go against his brother. Do things like that carry over? Do they make a difference in a game like this?
I would think they do. I'm sure that if you ask them, they would say no. It's just another game. One of those type of answers. But I think in the back of your mind, there's that extra motivation. You hold a grudge against guys, and certain things happen throughout your career. You always kind of put it in the back of your mind for extra motivation, and so I'm sure that he's thinking about that this week a little bit, and would love to go out and have a great performance out of his defense, and they shut down that offense that no one can seem to figure out right now. Lamar Jackson and that Ravens offense are on a tear right now. They're putting up a ton of points, and they're so versatile. They run the ball so well. Lamar's throwing the football really well. So I think Jim Schwartz is dying to go out there and have the right answers for that type of offense, and to show the league that he's capable of slowing them down.
Do you remember what Jim Schwartz said to him there?
I just remember it was over the hard handshake.
Yeah.
But I don't remember.
And then Harbaugh started to walk off, and Schwartz said, "You were stealing our plays. You were looking at our plays beforehand."
You're right. That was over that.
So they've all been watching plays from the jump.
Harbaugh's our cheater.
Well, you know what? We done figured two things out. This is crazy.
Yeah.
One of the things that obviously is a big topic of conversation in this game, too, is the fact that they had such an easy time with the Browns when the game was here. In the divisional games, how much carryover is there within the season, one to the other, about what happened the last time they played?
Yeah, I think there's quite a bit. I think when you obviously play these teams 2 times a year, you get a lot of familiarity with their calls, their system, what they're trying to do. So when you go into these games, you always have something extra for those type of opponents that you're playing twice a year. Where they're switching up calls at the line of scrimmage. You're changing up, your cadence. You're changing hand signals throughout the week, because certainly they pick up on those type of things. So I think it's very important to be dialed into that. Everyone has to kind of be on the same page. Extra time in the meeting rooms, making sure everyone understands what's different this week than normal going into a game like this. So certainly there's a lot of that going on, and a lot of little chess game going on with the coaching staffs on both sides of the ball, just because of the familiarity and trying to switch things up and keep them guessing a little bit.
Let's talk about something, Tim, that you're very familiar with. That's shaky offensive line play. The Browns already had a shaky left tackle in Jedrick Wills. He played better lately. Right. He's got obviously out because he's on IR. Yeah. The right tackle, DeJuan Jones, who's played much better than we could have expected. We don't know his status yet. We'll see if he practices today, but so far he hasn't practiced this week. You're basically, you're going to go potentially, definitely 1, maybe 2 tackles that have barely, certainly haven't played for the Browns. This guy who may play left tackle has played a little for some other teams. But how concerned should we and they be about the situation with the tackles right now?
Yeah, I'd be very concerned, especially going in, on the road, this week into an environment where it's extremely loud. It's hard to communicate, in that stadium. So, and also Baltimore is, one of the best defenses in the league as well. So, I think you go into a game like that with those injuries that they have, and you have to, determine what you're going to do in pass protections in certain situations. Who are you going to help? Which side are you going to send the back to? You're going to chip? You're going to leave the tight end in? Are you sliding the line in that direction to give him a little bit of help? So, There's certainly all those factors have to come into play when you're dealing with these type of injuries and going on the road in that type of environment.
Tim, I think time has probably healed some of the hatred between these two cities. What was it like when you went to Baltimore for the first time, knowing that you were carrying the hopes and the hatred of an entire city on your back to beat the Ravens?
Yeah, it was intense. I remember we went there in '99, and obviously, the Browns left in '96. They were out of the league for a few years. So when we came back, as the new Browns, we were going on the first time we went on the road there and played. There was a lot of, hostile stuff being said from their fans, when we took the field for warm-ups and those kind of things, people behind your bench yelling things at you the entire game. But I love those. I think that's, makes for a great rivalry. And, it's fun to play in those games, even though, we didn't have a whole lot of success against them back then because obviously they had one of the best defenses in the history of the league with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and then in the groups that they had, Tony Saragusa and all those guys that they had on that side of the ball back then to make for a tough game. But the games are always fun to play in. It was just so intense. And, the fans on both sides of the ball or both sides were very into it and loud. And, it was fun to go on the road and play them. It was great to have them come to our stadium and let our fans give it back to them a little bit. So a lot of fun, a lot of great memories from playing those games.
I always wondered, what the hell did their fans have to be angry?
Yeah, what were they angry about?
I mean, they stole our team. Why are they mad at us?
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah,
Usually the person that's mad is the thing that got their item swiped.
Yeah.
It's like you gonna steal my wife and punch me in the face.
Yeah, right.
That doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
Tim, have a great weekend. We'll
All
see
right,
you next
appreciate
week.
it.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. We'll see you.
It's like in Philly, I think I may have told this story on the show once, but Philly fans are like that, angry even in victory. One year when they beat the Bucs to go to the Super Bowl, we were leaving the field, and we, myself and my crew had our, ABC Tampa jackets on,
Right.
and they were yelling at us like the Buccaneers just won. And I stopped and I go, why are you guys so bitter? You won. You're going to the Super Bowl. What the hell? Why are you yelling at us?
Yeah, right. That's weird.
Sometimes people try to get on me because I say this. Like, I'm a Scorpio, and all Scorpios understand this type of anger. God's been working with me. He's been working with me, boo. But I be wanting bad stuff to happen to the Ravens.
So Scorpios are vindictive?
Listen, I want them to be delayed at the airport. I want them to go into financial ruin. I don't want
poisoning, maybe?
I can't say
let's not go
somebody.
that far.
I'm not going to go to the health because then there's
Let's not go that far.
But
Financial
if Lamar did happen to suddenly,
if he can't play in the game, I don't care.
if he did have diarrhea again, I don't think you'd be disappointed about that.
No, listen.
No, I disagree with that. I want to beat I want to beat teams at their best. I don't know. I always feel that.
I'm going to get at that best.
I'd rather win with the other team not at their best than lose and come close with the other team at their best.
I just don't want to
give me the win. I don't care.
I don't want.
There's no guarantees anywhere. You can't go in with that.
I don't want no positives for them. I'm not going to cry that I see people on their injury report. It's part of the game. I don't want them prospering. If they never won another championship, I'd love it.
Different.
Yeah, I would too.
If a small child today grows up and he's 2 years old and the Baltimore Ravens never win a championship her entire life,
doesn't everybody feel that way? I mean, that's not that big.
Some people, I don't know. It's not. To me, it's not enough vitriol against. We focus way too much on the Steelers. We let the Ravens off the hook. For me, the Ravens are almost worse than the Steelers in a way because at least the Steelers, they've been your enemy forever. It's like fighting your clone.
Yeah, I'm with you too on this.
Like, it's crazy.
I can't hate the Steelers as much as I used to because I'll never forget when the Browns left the field for the final time at Three Rivers in '96. They gave the team a standing ovation.
They were probably one of the biggest reasons the Browns got their team back so quickly.
They were all in on it.
All in.
Because, let's face it, the Steelers aren't the Steelers if they don't have the Browns to beat up on and to hate.
But the Ravens is a different type of vitriol because we waited our whole entire lives to go to the Super Bowl and to have us be shot in the foot by the Broncos.
And they've won, what, twice since then? Since the Baltimore Ravens have 2 Super Bowls.
And think about it. Even when they got Joe Flacco Joe Flacco had a great record against us, right? He won a Super Bowl, and they got him from in the second round. And then when we all are hanging out where we're bad, and we get the first overall pick, they go draft Lamar Jackson and start their cycle all over. Yeah. And he's been great, and they've been great all that time, and we've still been bad.
The Steelers are like Russia, and the Ravens are North Korea, I think. Maybe.
That is, yeah.
They're a newer enemy, but they're very evil.
And the Bengals are kind of like China.
Bengals of China?
Because we still do a lot of business with the Bengals.
Yeah.
Like, we even watch Joe Burrow, right? We just don't get the best. We just don't get the best deals.
No, we don't.
we get 50 cents for $1.
All right, Mike, what's your read?
It's not even a read, it's just an update. DeJuan Jones not practicing today for a straight day, which means it could be 2 backups. We're going to talk about that in the WKYC.
You're talking about the 4th and 5th
Yeah,
tackles.
You're way down on the depth chart.
They're still technically backups, but 2 guys, and that's going to make keeping Deshaun upright much more difficult. We're going to talk about that in the TV show coming up at 12:30 on WKYC. Guys, we've done this for every game where it's been close. We've done the top 10 players draft in this game for Sunday. The 10 guys you would want on your team, and I've asked you for your answers beforehand.
See, yes. I think you've not been very clear on what the assignment is. Is it the 10? Is it the 10 best?
The 10 best players. Yeah, the 10 best players.
Okay, then no position should take authority over
it's the 10
another.
Best players.
It should be about the best guys.
I said it's the 10 best players draft.
Okay, fine.
But I'm curious where the ambiguity comes from in a 10 best players draft if we're drafting
what
the
it
10
feels
best
like
Not
to
ambiguity,
me?
it's ambiguity.
Ambiguity. Here's what the
I'm not good with words.
Here's the relationship. I'm gonna characterize the relationship between Bull and between Mike. There's clearly love both ways.
I love Bull, yeah.
But it's beginning to feel to me like he's the big brother, you're the little brother. He points out every little mistake you make.
That's not true.
I still don't think it was a mistake. I texted you guys 10 best
what he
players
perceives
draft.
to be a mistake.
No, I'm not. I was perceiving you guys making mistakes. That was really a knock at you two and not at Mike because you guys didn't put the kickers on your list. And both kickers have been fantastic.
Nope, neither kicker's on the list, and there's a reason for that.
And we'll get to that.
You
we have
missed
10 players we're going to draft.
You missed
Bull,
it, Jay.
I appreciate that.
When I got really mad.
When McNuggets was like, Bull wanted to get his baseball off. McNuggets was like,
I yelled at both him and Earl.
You got 30 seconds. Bull's like, all right, let me go. He's like, no, you got a minute.
We don't have time. We can hash it another time.
Bull's like, I don't want to talk about it now.
But guys,
never mind.
Next topic.
He went,
these are
never
the
mind.
10 best players in the game on Sunday.
Okay.
10 best.
Yeah.
There you go.
1 and 2 were unanimous, so we'll do those very, very quickly. You
Right.
guys all submitted your top 10 lists.
Those were easy.
Myles Garrett was number 1, and
Should
number
be.
2 was Lamar Jackson. Those were unanimous across the board.
Okay.
Steve, you can take Tag Board live. I'm going to update live to make sure it's working. Myles Garrett was 1. Is it going to work? Update live. There you go. Lamar Jackson's 2, so Tag Board's working. That's good. After that,
Is that a Y or a V in Myles Garrett?
it just cuts off. It's actually a Y.
Oh,
That's a
okay.
Tag Board. It has a line underneath.
We had to
so
pay
you'll
extra
see any
for the
Ys.
tail on the Y.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see any Ys. That's a Tag Board. Listen, I can't make Tag Board perfect. It's just working today, so we're going to take it.
That's that we're going to run.
We're gonna take
After
it
that,
full? No.
after that,
Go ahead.
there was no unanimous answers.
Really?
Very different across the board. Jay, your 4th player wasn't on anyone else's list.
No kidding.
So let's go through and let's vote.
Wow.
Who's
Yeah.
the 3rd best player in the game on Sunday?
I've got Roquan Smith.
I
mean, the Ravens were a middling defense last year. They traded for him, and since they've traded for him, if you go back to last year
give him
through
my
now,
bag.
they're the best defense in football.
Let me.
And that's
I had Roquan Smith too.
You
So-
did, but it was not unanimous, so there was no 3 people. with the
Oh,
same
I
one.
thought you said no consensus.
Let me
Yeah,
get
no,
my
no.
bag.
There was for a couple of these, but Roquan because
Because I
votes.
thought the first 3 were very easy.
Hey, man, I blew it up. I blew it all the way up. I put Mark Cooper in there.
Wow, all the way at number 3.
5 for 139. He just gets, all he does is catch passes from bums, $230 million quarterbacks, or whoever in the middle.
Wow. 3rd.
Well, even
He's
with
way
that-
down on my list.
Even with that, we had 2 votes for Roquan Smith, so Roquan gets our 3rd
Roquan wins.
spot.
All right.
Number 4 now.
I had Roquan at 4.
Wait, no one had Patrick Queen on their
No
list?
one else had Patrick Queen on their list.
Wow, guys.
Well, they have about 3 or 4 defenders who are better than him.
Patrick Queen's having he's a Pro Bowl. He's having an all-pro season maybe. He's balling out. I'm surprised that you guys, no one had him.
He's not even their best linebacker.
No, I know he's not, but he's a really good linebacker. Really good linebacker. Now, I've only seen 3 of their games. So, but in the games that I watched, he jumped off the screen.
All right.
So who did you guys have at number 4?
I had Roquan, but y'all had him at 3.
I thought it was easy. I thought it was Mark Andrews at 4.
I think I had Mark Andrews at 5, I think.
I got Mark Andrews at 10.
I did a little composite. Jay, you had Mark Andrews at number 7. But we did a composite. I gave a point. So 10 points if you were voted first, 9 second,
Mark
down
Andrews
the list.
The second best tight end in football.
Very good. He's
And
a very
with
good
that,
player.
He'd be starting
because of G's high grade for Amari Cooper came in at number 4 on our list.
I had Amari Cooper 5.
Yeah, I had him 8. I have him 8. I did have him 7, but I put Mark Andrews at 7.
I feel he's the only offensive threat that the Browns have in the passing game, and he still continues to put up numbers.
See, now I thought about that, and I thought if the question was in terms of value to their team, I would have changed it.
Yeah.
Because there's no question Amari Cooper
That
is
wasn't the
more
question.
valuable to his team.
But Mark Andrews, to me, is a better tight end than Amari Cooper is a wide receiver. So.
Yes, I would agree with that too.
Yeah.
However, what I did was I just went on best players. Like this is a draft.
Best players
Not
draft.
like how much they help their team or
Right.
how good they are compared to everybody else at their position. I'm just doing this as an open selection. You've got the whole 106 players in front of you, and you can start picking which ones you want. For me, and because of that reason, I had Mark Andrews a little bit lower.
So Cooper was 4?
I could argue
Cooper was 4 based on composite
besides the
points.
quarterbacks, I could argue Amari Cooper is the best offensive player for both teams on the field.
I would say he's second after Andrews, but it's close. It is close.
Now, I'm guessing, you said there was nobody else that had my 4 on there.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how many of the guys had 5. Because I went with Geno Stone, and I thought that was a no-brainer at number 5.
Geno Stone was also on someone else's ballot.
I had him later.
I had him audible mention. Now the reason I like his production is crazy.
You can't ignore
His production is ridiculous. But
guys don't get 6 interceptions anymore in a season. He's got 6 halfway through.
But I looked at it, and I'm looking at it this way. People won't even throw over Martin Emerson's side no more. He had no targets. They won't even throw there. And Denzel Ward,
you know what?
He's having the best year
I had Denzel Ward
of his career.
I had Geno Stone and then Denzel Ward.
Okay. Now, I messed up. Didn't even have Denzel on the list.
Wow.
Yeah, but
That's
that
a
was a big
mistake by
omission.
Maybe it's just a lot
I
of
didn't even have him as an honorable mention. I must have, I don't know, I had lost
Well,
my
you got
brain
a kicker on the list. You might have both kickers on
I
the
had both
list.
kickers.
Wow. Man,
So who are we going to go with number 5?
But I
1
really
through
screwed up
4.
not having Ward and Emerson. That was a mistake. I don't know
1
what
through
happened
4
in
is
there.
Myles Garrett, Lamar, Roquan, Amari. Who are we going with number 5?
So I would put Mark Andrews at 5.
Yeah, he's not on the list yet. I had him at number 7.
I had Denzel Ward at 5.
So is that everyone's vote?
Well, I have Denzel.
I'm going to change to Denzel Ward. I don't know what.
Okay, throw
I had a brain
Denzel in
fart
because
on the
Denzel for me
Denzel
is
Ward.
6. I had Geno Stone 5.
Yeah, let's go Denzel 5.
And then Denzel 6.
Yeah.
And then my 6th guy I shouldn't have put on there because he is having a down year. I did the thing that I hate when journalists and analysts do it. They just do it.
I know what you did.
Batonio got to go.
Yeah.
Antonio, I didn't have him on
He
the
got to
list.
go.
Yeah, I thought about Joe.
Stone's going on.
I think Mark
right
Andrews
there.
should be up now at this point at 6.
So are we going to ignore Geno Stone then?
I had Stone.
Well, I'm going to ignore the composites because Bull forgot some players.
Yeah,
we'll just go
I
like
don't know
this.
what happened to me on there.
It's now up to
No,
our
that's very
vote.
uncharacteristic of Bull.
Very.
I would say Mark Andrews or Stone would go where at 6.
So I've got Stone at 6 and then Andrews. Or Stone at 5 and Andrews at 7.
Stone just came out of nowhere.
I know he did, but he's just.
He got 10
I keep
picks or
saying these are
something.
fluke picks,
Yeah.
but they're not.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's squatting on routes. He's sitting on things. He sees things very, very well.
I'm like, this
I'm
is
still
crazy.
voting for Mark Andrews at
So
6.
1 for Andrews, 1 for Stone. G, you're the tiebreaker. Andrews or Stone?
I'm going to go with Stone. Them
right.
picks is great. We halfway through the season. He might get 12 for 13 picks.
Which is unheard of today.
Nobody get those.
Nobody
numbers.
does that now.
Now, the next
7.
guy.
So are we
Then
good with
it's gotta
Mark
be Mark
Andrews at
Andrews.
7?
Andrews.
Absolutely. That's where I have him. I have him at number 7.
Now, this is where it get a little sticky. To me, am I going to put
What about Martin Emerson?
Is Martin Emerson better than Marlon Humphrey? Marlon Humphrey got the name.
He does. I think if you're going body of work, it's Humphrey. I think if you're going this year, it's Emerson.
I'm going Justin Tucker at 8.
See, now I want to point something out.
It's crazy.
Bull has made a very emphatic point. My biggest miss during the and I've had a lot of them. My biggest miss during the show was I applauded the Browns drafting a kicker. I thought it was a great move because it had been an area of concern for a long time. And I believed in this guy. I was wrong. Wrong.
Right.
Because of that, and because we got a free kicker, a kicker as a free agent, Bull has made his point this year several times in our group chat, in all caps, never, ever, ever draft a kicker. And you got 2 of them in your top 10.
Doesn't mean I don't want a good kicker. I'm just saying don't waste a draft pick on it because it's a crapshoot, that position.
So don't waste one of your top 10s on a kicker.
But I'm going based on the best players, and it's hard not to say Justin Tucker and Dustin Hopkins are
Justin Tucker's having a non-Justin Tucker-like year.
Is he?
He's still been good. But
He's been good. He hasn't been Justin Tucker.
Has he missed?
He's missed a couple.
What's his numbers
this
year,
season?
Mike?
Justin
He missed
Tucker.
a long one. He may have missed 2 long ones to beat the Colts because they kept kicking long field goals in that overtime.
What is it, Mike?
He's 16 for 19. His only misses have come from 56, 57, and 58.
Wow, that's still pretty damn good.
Yeah.
But when you see 16 of 19, that's human. That's not Justin Tucker.
I mean,
he's still excellent.
It's great. I'd take it, especially when the 3 misses are all over 56 yards. He's a victim of his own success.
But is it that head shoulders above the next kickers?
No, there are kickers with better percentages.
That's fair.
There are kickers with better percentages.
It's not like he's...
Hell, our kicker has a better percentage.
All right, so who are we voting for? What are we up to? 7?
No, we're at 8 now.
I need you to partner with me to keep the kickers off the list.
I'm not putting no kickers on there.
Yeah.
So
let's throw names out there that aren't on the list. Martin Emerson, Zay Flowers. I had Zay Flowers at 10 on my list.
Patrick Queen's still out there, Jay.
No. Yeah, these guys swung and missed on him.
JOK, Tyler Lindenbaum.
No, if we're going to go, JOK is not getting on the list over Patrick Queen. No way.
I just don't think Patrick Queen's been that great.
He's been good.
Wow. Again, I've only seen 3 games. But
and you talk about track record, he's been a disappointment until this year. He's had a better year this year.
I'm not going on what he's done before this year. I'm going on.
What about Grant Delpit? He's been phenomenal.
Is he wait, let's do this. I know sometimes it can be tricky, but he's a linebacker. He gets a lot of tackles. Where is Patrick Queen in tackles?
In tackles?
The 3 games I saw him, he was just flashing to me. He was all over the damn field.
Are you putting him on the list before Marlon Humphrey?
Yes.
Okay.
I am.
I'll even left the safety out. What was his name? Safety
Kyle
Notre
Hamilton.
Dame?
Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
I saw him. He had
I don't have him on my list.
He had 3 sacks in one game.
Yeah, he did. Patrick Queen's 15th in the league in tackles with 75 right now.
That's a lot, guys. Top 15.
That's a lot.
He's 33rd in PFF.
Where's Roquan Smith?
4th, 87.
God, I love that guy. I still can't believe what little they had to give up to get him from the Bears.
Nothing.
Patrick Queen does have 3.5 sacks though, which is pretty high for a linebacker.
Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot.
JOK has a better PFF grade.
PFF's dead to me.
We still have
Listen, you're judging it based on watching the Ravens 3 games. You said so. We don't know what he's doing the other.
No,
games.
I don't. I have to. So I confess,
I haven't seen him enough.
I just know that I don't know what he's done in the other games. I know the 3 times I've watched him. I remember saying to myself, "My God, the Ravens linebacking core is 49ers like." They've got 2 that are all over the football all the time.
Can we get Kyle Hamilton's grades? Because the dude got 3 sacks.
His PFF grades are pretty solid, not elite, but pretty solid.
I mean, it's
all right. We got to vote. We got to vote.
Yeah,
for
we got.
So
how many slots are open? 3 or 4?
3. We got 8, 9, and 10.
I'll blow off the kickers. Forget the kickers.
Okay.
I'm going to vote.
Do we agree Martin Emerson should be on the list? He's not on there yet.
I'm going to vote for Grant Delpit though over Martin Emerson.
Are you really?
I am. Grant Delpit's had a hell of a season.
He's had a great season. I'm still taking
going
Martin
Delpit.
Emerson.
What are you going?
I'm going Emerson.
Emerson.
Yeah.
So 2 votes for Emerson. So Emerson gets the nod.
Okay, now,
number 8.
guys not on there, Queen, Flowers, JOK, anybody else?
The Ravens center, Tyler Lindenbaum, is one of the best.
Yeah, he's really good at that position. I just didn't, I don't know why.
Maurice Hurst has had a great season.
I know, but
one guy you guys are forgetting, and this is a big omission by all you guys, Justin Madubuike of the Ravens has more sacks from the defensive tackle position.
Oh, we also forgot about Owe.
Yeah.
Owe was on your list. He was number 6, Bull.
Yeah.
And no one else had him on their list.
Yeah, Owe's been great.
There's a lot of good players in this game is what this is coming down
to. You know
to.
what? This game has a great deal of depth. Well, hell, there's 7-2 and 5-3. That's what you'd expect.
My last two would be Marlon Humphrey and Patrick Queen.
I'm voting for Owe.
Well, Queen's got to be on there because I've got Queen on there as well.
So you want to go
there's
Queen
2
with
for
9,
Queen.
Patrick
you
Queen
good
with 9.
with Queen at 9? Are we good with leaving Zay Flowers off this list?
I had him honorable mention. I think that he's the best.
Bull, you don't want him on?
No.
Okay, so we got to agree. We got to have two guys that agree on someone to go at 10.
I would say either Owe for the Ravens, Grant Delpit, or Lindenbaum, the center.
Man, I think it should be. I think it should be Queen and Marlon Humphrey.
Queen's already in.
Queen
is
in.
Okay, so it would have to be. Zay Flowers might go in. I think Zay Flowers to me is almost more important to them and what they want to do than
particularly against the Browns.
Yeah, because they.
Well, that would be 2 for Zay Flowers then.
I mean, it's not like he's having a great, a monster rookie season.
I don't know what he's having, but
he's on pace for about 1,000 yards.
That's
nice.
a damn good rookie season for a wide receiver.
Yeah, it's good.
How many yards does he have?
The great
Where is he?
rookies now make a huge impact right away.
I mean, you get 1,100. I mean,
what are his yards per catch?
He has 45 catches right now for 472 yards. He's averaging 10.5 yards per catch and 1 touchdown.
That's pretty damn good.
For what they want to do, he's the gadget dude. For what, the screens, the little quick stuff, they're jumping around and getting.
Yeah, Mark Andrews is their old reliable.
Yes.
He's like the Kelsey in this offense.
I like him.
You like? I give me.
But to me,
you're gonna put him over Grant Delpit? You're gonna put him over Marlon Humphrey?
I
would put him over Tyler Lindenbaum?
No,
I would put him over Owe?
I told you I would put Marlon Humphrey. Got to be on the list.
All right, I'll go with you on Marlon Humphrey. Let's give him 10.
Marlon
I didn't have
Humphrey
him on mine,
ends
but
up
I
at number
lose
10
on this
then.
one. Put him on there.
Yeah, that was heated.
Yeah, that was good.
I mean, that just
I'm
means,
just going to not put the kickers
How many
anymore.
Browns? How
Forget
many
the
Ravens?
kickers.
that just means there's a lot of good ball players.
Yeah, a lot of good players.
How many Browns? How many Ravens?
So that means, and we'll go through top to bottom. Number 1, Myles Garrett. 2, Lamar. 3, Roquan. 4, Amari. 5, Denzel.
3-2
so on the
Browns.
first 5, 3-2 Browns.
Wow.
In the second part of the draft, we went Geno Stone, Mark Andrews,
4-1.
MJ Emerson,
Yeah.
Patrick
So it's
Queen,
6-4
and Marlon
Ravens.
Humphrey, which is just a tiny bit different than when you guys submitted your initial list. It was a dead even 5-5 split. Now, Joel Bitonio, because G had him 4th on his list.
I had 9 out of 10 guys on my list.
Yeah, it was pretty close. That's about how
The
it
only
should
guy
be.
that missed was Zay Flowers, and he was honorable
good.
mention for sure.
Hey, listen, it's so funny. Some would argue that Odell Beckham is not even in the top 25.
I don't even know if he's in the top 40.
Odell Beckham hardly played.
Yeah.
Hasn't had an impact at all. Jadeveon Clowney, is he still having a good season? I haven't seen
He's
him
playing
in the
well. Yeah, he's playing well.
We also didn't mention Deshaun Watson.
You know what? Hold on.
Yeah.
I
He voted
had
for Deshaun. G had him at number 8
Yeah,
on his
he's
list.
not on my list.
I had him at 8.
I mean, not based on this year.
No, I haven't seen anything that makes me put him on there. Now, if he beats Baltimore,
There's a lot of good players, a lot of Pro Bowlers. If you were doing a Pro Bowl, if you were picking Pro Bowlers today, based on half the season, you'd have a decent amount of players. For
and
both
you
teams.
mentioned a lot of guys. I think the bias of this draft is we tend to think skills position.
Yeah, right.
But you mentioned a lot of guys that are not skills position guys that are really, really good amongst their peers.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
probably, in honesty, should have been in here.
Yeah, I mean, both centers are top
Really good.
5 centers,
Yeah,
probably.
and-
But whatever.
It's not sexy to put a center
No.
on your
Oh,
top 10.
and I tripped. Dalvin Tomlinson is a Pro Bowler.
And he's not even the best D tackle in the game. Listen,
Well, he's not. Is he
Matt
a pro,
Abike
but how are we determining
is a
that he's a Pro
monster.
Bowler?
Oh, I just seen him. First of all, he's dominant against the run. I just seen him get 3 sacks.
One game. You don't go to the Pro Bowl based on one game.
I mean, listen, centers, nose tackles get like 2 sacks the whole season.
Sure.
Taven Bryan had like 1.
Taven Bryan stinks.
My God. All right, let's do our 5-piece of McNuggets. This is 5 stats that we probably have overlooked during the course of our conversation of this game in the week. And McNuggets goes to 7,000 different websites to find these. I don't know where you come up with these, but
I have a lot of fun doing this.
You've done
And
a great job with this.
Today's 5-pack of McNuggets is brought to you by FanDuel, the #1 sportsbook in America. Right now, brand new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So you've been thinking about joining FanDuel. There's no better time than right now to get in on the action. The app is simple to use, and they have everything you could bet on, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL and an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Guys, yesterday we talked about a lot of the advanced metrics with the Browns defense and the Ravens defense, why they have been so good this season. Mm-hmm. And one I held out intentionally was something I needed for this. And here's your first stat of the day. 3-and-out rates. The most important thing a defense can do if they're not creating turnovers, get the other team off the field as quickly as you can. The Browns forced 3-and-outs at a 57% rate this season. That's first in the NFL by 11 points.
That's
Second
crazy.
in the NFL is the Saints at 46%. It is the highest 3-and-out rate I could find on PFF, going back year by year by year by year.
For how many years?
Could not find it. It's as far as PFF tracked it. Yeah. It's the highest 3-and-out rate. And just to give you a
Which
little context.
Which goes back to when? When did they start tracking that?
2004.
It's not a fair comparison because it's a half season versus a whole season.
Right.
But just so far, this is.
So far,
no, I know, but there's enough hay in the barn here that you can kind of see which way they're trending.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Where are the Ravens, by the way?
I have to go back
good
and
question.
pull that
I
up.
wanted to know that
all
too.
I can tell, well, I'll look that up in 1 sec. But here's what you do need to know: the difference between 1 and 2, from the Browns to the Saints, 1 and 2, 11%. That's the same difference of 2 to 14.
That's crazy.
So that's how much better the Browns are than any other team in the NFL when it comes to forcing.
That's a
3-and-outs.
home run stat right there, McNuggets. Wonderful job.
I mean, it's great. You think about it, team gets the ball maybe 10 times in a game, right? Maybe it's a 10 series?
10 if you're lucky, 12 if you're scoring a lot and the clock's.
And that means 6 out of those 10, you only have essentially 4 chances to score against the Browns.
That's crazy.
That's going to keep you in a lot of games.
Mike, I agree with you that the second most important thing a defense can do is to hold a team to 3-and-out.
Sure.
After turning over the football. And you can also, like in a game like this, we think it's going to be low scoring. In a game like this, it could turn into a field position game. And 3-and-outs they're not as good as turnovers, but if you pick up a couple of first downs and you end up punting, and the Ravens go 3-and-out and they punt, you added 20 yards to your field position.
Right, yeah.
And you can keep doing that until it leads to a score.
That's a huge part of this game.
Flipping the field, right?
Kevin Stefanski has to. They can't go out there and have 3-and-outs and no sustained drive. Sometimes a 3 first downs and a punt is good.
Absolutely. I mean, it's better than an interception.
Because now the best part of their team is the defense. You can play to your strengths. It gives your defense more room to do some exotic things.
Right.
Maybe to take a few more chances than they would if the team gets the ball in the middle of the field. You got a kicker. You got one of the best punters in the league, too.
You do. Yeah. McNuggets, one
So do
question,
the Ravens.
and I don't know if you could find this out.
Yeah.
What was the Ravens' percentage when we played them the first time? How many times were they held?
I can tell you that real quick. I can't find the graphic that had them all without pulling up 6,000 tabs. So, I'll get you the Ravens stat offline, but they're not 1 or 2, I can tell you that. The first time these two teams played, Baltimore on you want 3-and-outs, not third down.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look. That's
a tough one to find. Yeah. I'm just wondering, how they were against the Ravens when it comes to 3-and-outs in their earlier games.
Bull, I got it. Hold on. Let me do the math. I found it. Baltimore forcing 3-and-outs is... they're there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're 10th. Wow.
That's surprising considering how good. You look at the other analytics; they're right there with the Browns.
36%, by the way, compared to 57 for the Browns.
Wow, that 57% is
crazy,
bonkers.
That's just nuts.
Bonkers.
Man.
All right, next up.
Yeah.
Jerome Ford. We talked about it, but I'm going to say, yikes. Per Next Gen Stats, Jerome Ford has a 4.74 efficiency rating as a running back. That is the 4th lowest efficiency rating in the NFL. And here's the issue. He's getting 3.5 seconds or 3.15 seconds behind the line of scrimmage before contact. That is the most time behind the line of scrimmage in the NFL on average. Essentially means he is dancing, and you can see the play in the graphic here.
Look at this.
There are holes. This man dances. Is a bit indecisive before making any type of decision. The only running backs in the league less efficient than Jerome Ford this season, Cam Akers, who's been horrendous, Tyler Algier, who has not been good, had a great rookie season last year, Algier, who was great last year, not good this year, and Dameon Pierce, who's been an atrocity for the Houston Texans.
What's crazy about Algier, before we get to Ford, is that they drafted Bijan Robinson, 8th overall, and they're using Algier more.
And he's been bad.
Some of these teams are so dumb.
Yeah.
But in terms of Jerome Ford, really my only I obviously have been big time on board with Kevin Stefanski this year, as you know. My only complaint about Kevin Stefanski on offense, my only one, is that I think he uses Jerome Ford too much.
Yeah,
I don't like what I've seen from him.
We all pretty much agree that it's time to see what Pierre Strong can do if he gets Ford's carries.
Yes.
I mean, I would love to play against him. I would love to. He strikes no fear in anybody's mind.
It's the indecision.
And here's the thing. Long runs are intoxicating. He's had 2 of them. And coaches get enamored with home run hitting ability because they're like, wow, all it takes is 1 carry. He's a lottery ticket.
Yeah,
one ticket, one hit, I'm rich for life. I can win a game or I can still lose a game with one. But listen, in between the hashes and with the minutia and just getting yards and moving the chains like we say that is important, he's not the guy. He's
too much scratch-off dust.
Too much all in your jeans.
It's ruining everything.
And this is the worst team for Jerome Ford because if you're running side to side against the Ravens, I mean,
their ball pursuit is incredible.
Well, and they have the best line. They have one or two best linebacking groups in the league. I mean, they're so fast.
And Hamilton is a linebacker.
Yeah, I mean they got all these fast guys.
Marlon Humphrey is those hitter.
And, there's something to be said for patience. Because I think patience is important, but he's overdoing it.
Yes.
Like a lot of times the patience is let me see where a hole opens and then you go through it. It looks like he's like, nope, don't like that hole. Let me go over here. Nope, nothing there. Yeah. Well, the play's over.
Patience doesn't mean running. Like Le'Veon Bell in his prime was really a great patient runner, right? He'd be holding on to the fullback's jersey.
But he wasn't
going sideways.
He was in one spot.
Yeah.
Looking around. Plotting.
It's like the punt returner that doesn't catch it and immediately run north and south.
Yeah, you got
East and West on punt returns doesn't get it, and it doesn't get it in the NFL
I get
as a
it.
running
Kareem
back.
Hunt's not a home run hitter at this point in his career, but we don't know about Pierre Strong. He ran a great 40 time. We all like what we saw from him a couple of weeks ago. Let's go.
On your lottery analogy, I'd rather win 10 $5 tickets than one $50 ticket. Because that's great for that drive in that moment.
Right.
But for the 4 other drives where you're not getting first downs,
you're done.
You're not moving the football.
You're negatively affecting your defense too.
And it's even
right because your defense is out there too often.
And it's worse if he hits the home run and it's 60 yards and you're like, oh, we ready to go. Now you chasing that high.
Right.
You chasing it. Well, a couple more carries.
You're right. It is intoxicating.
A couple more. Just give him. Nah, not against this squad.
All right, number 3. Usually you would think that when your quarterback has more time, receivers have more time to get open, it's a good thing.
Right.
But that's not necessarily the case against the Ravens. Take a look at this. Opposing quarterbacks have a negative 141 EPA when the opposing quarterback is more than 2.5 seconds in the pocket to throw the ball. That is absurd. 1 touchdown, 7 interception on those attempts, and a league low 5.1 yards per attempt when the quarterback has time. Their cornerbacks are sticky. Their safeties are everywhere. Second lowest in the league, Jacksonville at minus 76.5. They're twice as good, essentially, as any team when the quarterback isn't getting the ball out quick. Deshaun Watson, as good as he can be and as good as he has been in Houston, his strong suit was never getting the ball out quickly. He's a guy that likes to hold the ball, read the defense, make things happen. His average time to throw this season, 3.08 seconds. His quickest time to throw this season in a game was last week against Arizona at 2.8. Both of those would fall into the don't do this against Baltimore category. Bull, I told you yesterday, why is this the Elijah Moore game? Because they're going to have to get the ball out quick, especially with the banged-up offensive line. Quick, short passes, Elijah
Everything
Moore.
has to be out in a hurry.
This is why Elijah Moore is going to break out. And break out like 40 yards on 8 catches.
I wish you were right, but I don't believe that. I think it's more about getting the ball to David Njoku and the running backs. It's a fascinating stat, Mike. You did a great job with that.
That is a great one. Another great one.
That's crazy. I'm trying to think about what that means. Why are the Ravens so good? And I guess because they have so much team speed on defense. That maybe when things are breaking down at the end and all of a sudden at the corner of his eye, the quarterback's like, oh, I got somebody, and the play's broken down, but the Ravens can make up that ground on defense better than most teams can.
How many interceptions do the Browns have on the season?
Do the Browns have?
Yeah,
Let's see. Trying to do the mental math.
5?
Denzel has 2.
Geno Stone may have more than the entire Browns team.
Probably.
Can you show me that play again? You put your graphic up
They have
there.
7, by the way.
Okay, so
7?
they've got one more than Geno Stone has by himself.
They have one more than Geno Stone.
Throw that graphic. Throw play up there again, and I'll tell you exactly why it happens. Look at them. They're in this mug technique. How many guys are in the line of scrimmage? Well, there has to be 7.
There's looks like
7. They drop 3 back, right?
Right.
So what you do is when you have 7 guys at the line of scrimmage, mug technique, which is your linebackers up in the A gaps. Now you got to change your protection scheme, and now you got to get rid of the ball quickly because you don't know who's coming. Now look at it. Now when you get a clean picture, you don't know who's coming and where you're throwing. So now most quarterbacks are throwing with anticipation. And if you're trying to throw with anticipation and you don't know where anybody's going to be at, it's going to cause you interceptions. And it speeds your clock up because now guys are coming free because they're just fooling you based on alignment. Like, hey, I can show up right here in this A-gap. Well, you're going to block the right guy? And so for the Browns, this is a big time thing because you already got Jed Wills out. DeJuan Jones isn't practicing, so that means both of your tackles are going to have to diagnose who they're coming, guys moving around, twist text.
Pass pro a lot.
You change your pass pro, and now Deshaun Watson is a guy who has not been throwing the ball a lot. So he's not going to be sharp in terms of being pinpoint accurate if guys are diagnosing where the guy's going to go and picking where you drop. So what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to max protect a lot, and like a couple games earlier this season, when you block your tight ends and then check release late, those guys are open in the flats. A lot of what they're going to do, like Bull said, your running backs, your tight ends are going to be the guys that are going to be able to work with you.
Chip and catch.
Yep. And get it to them quick. Deshaun has been when I watched all 22, he's been holding a little too long. Give your guy an opportunity to catch the ball and make a guy miss. Don't give it to him. Don't put it on him and the guy's right next to him.
Right.
Get it to him early so he can make something happen. I think it's a big part of how they're going to move the football. They're not going to be able to move downfield with all these deep passing attacks.
All right, next up, the biggest stride Lamar has made this season, which is taking him from a good quarterback back into the MVP conversation, is how he's handled pressure. Against the blitz this season, Lamar has been absolutely elite. On the year, he's 38 of 67 passing when blitzed / under pressure for 669 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. He has an 11.8 big-time throw percentage. That's a typo, my bad. Percentage under pressure. That's best in the NFL by 2%. When we did this, the first time we did this, I talked about how bad he was historically against pressure. Well, it's been the opposite this year. I don't know if it's Todd Monken. I don't know if it's Lamar just becoming that next progression in his quarterback play, but he's been great under pressure this season, and we know the Browns. They don't blitz a lot, but they get pressure as well as any team in the league with 4 or 5 guys. It's been his Achilles heel previously. It's been what he's best against this year.
So to me, this stat is the single thing you can point to as to the progression of Lamar Jackson.
No doubt, yeah.
And why he's having the kind of season he's having.
Well, and it goes to the turnovers, right? We talked about him not turning the ball over.
He's not being
He's
forced
not
into
panicking
bad
in those situations.
Exactly. And I want to give kudos to whoever is responsible for this, and I don't know. Is it the OC? Is it the head coach? Is it Lamar just putting in all kinds of extra work? I've had baseball players tell me this before, and I know football players do it too. Every offseason, they go back and they say, what was my Achilles? Yeah. Was it, and I think we had a guy this year in Josh Naylor who his Achilles was red flashing lights. You can't hit left-handed pitching.
Right.
He went back into the lab, and he improved his batting average against versus left-handed pitching by over 100 points. He completely flipped that script.
He did.
I think Lamar Jackson should be applauded because I think he's done the same thing. He took his Achilles, and he's made it his strength, and that's scary for how good this Ravens team can be and how far they can go.
I mean, the book on him was you get him under pressure, he's going to make a mistake. It's always been the book on him. That's why you never trusted him in a big spot. But so far this year, like you said, it's been the opposite. Yeah, I think you got to give Todd Monken, the OC, some credit. Yeah. But I think a lot of it goes to Lamar. I mean, and his progression as a player, no doubt.
He's done a great job. He really has.
Last one. I mentioned this guy's name a couple times. He is my, I guess, opponent crush of the week. But the matchup to watch this weekend in the trench, because the tackles are so iffy, is going to be Wyatt Teller versus Justin Madubuike. Last week against Arizona, Teller was stellar. 34 pass blocking snaps, 0 pressures allowed, 0 sacks. We didn't mention Madubuike in the top 10 draft. That's a big miss out of you guys. He has a sack in 6 straight games. It's a new Baltimore record. He has 7.5 on the season. That leads all NFL defensive tackles. He has 30 pressures this season. That's second in the NFL among defensive tackles.
We did miss on
his
him.
career high for an entire season is 32. He's got 30 through 9. He also beat Teller. You could see that for a sack in week 4. And when he plays Cleveland, he has a damn near 90 grade on PFF in 8 career games. 7 career games, excuse me. This guy has been everywhere on the field this year. It's his best season as a pro.
The fact that
and
that's
Justin
a
Madubuike
record
guy,
for the Ravens,
you got to mention that.
6 straight games with a sack, and to think
crazy.
that Ray Lewis never did it. All of the stalwart defensive linemen that they've had over the years, no Raven has ever had 6 straight. I wouldn't have either. But he's going to be
impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, the Browns, their interior of their line, if they don't hold up, the Browns are no way they're winning this game.
And you don't like that matchup automatically because they're held together by Band-Aids right now.
No, but I'm saying the middle of it. The guards in the center, those 3 guys, Batonio, Teller, and Pochett, they got to be great because there's already enough problems outside.
Man,
they got to be. You can't. If Watson's getting pressure in the middle, they're screwed.
It's a really good stat, Mike. And again, a really good job
Nice
with the
job,
5-piece McNuggets. Just really, really good things to think about as you get ready to watch this game.
Appreciate it. We got to get some Super Chats in. We're going to play the Njoku video real quick. Today's Super Chats are brought to us by Jace Medical. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jace Case by Jace Medical provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use, giving you peace of mind so you're not just hoping you have access to medication in an emergency. Jace Medical makes sure you have the medication in hand, and it's simple to handle everything from the online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. So you don't get caught unprepared. Get $20 off these life-saving antibiotics today from Jace Medical by using promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's promo code LOCKEDON at jacemedical.com. Couple Super Chats. Nick Lopez says, happy birthday to my fellow Marines. Happy 248th birthday to the United States Marine Corps. Buff Gaming also says, happy Marine Corps birthday and happy Marine Corps birthday from everyone here at UCSS. Halim Youssef said, for all but one team, if you play the Browns, you lose the following week because our physicality. Ravens will lose to the Bengals on Thursday night. If we pull this out, it'll be huge. Daryl says, WKYC Channel 3 UCSS is lit. Kool-Aid Mafia in the building, 27-20. That's my final pick. Set Apart Laz says, this may be the first time this show is hitting on all cylinders. Y'all are on fire today. And Squid Vet Ohio says that turtleneck needs to be circumcised.
That's disgusting. No, it already is.
Hey, listen.
Hey, we got 10 seconds.
It wouldn't
and
be
we'll
if
on
I
Channel
unrolled
3.
it.
10 seconds,
That's
we're on Channel
disgusting.
3 in a few minutes. We'll see y'all there. We'll play the Njoku video. We'll post it for everyone out there. But the workout was crazy.
Yeah, we're out of time. See you on Channel 3.
Peace.